We made the mistake. We thought we were having a revenue dip or a revenue problem. And what you do in that situation, obviously, every business coach has ever given you this advice, is you make a new offer and you launch a new thing to your audience. But what if you just need to fix and make the one offer better rather than launching a new offer? I would just want you guys to reflect and stand back and think like, do I need to launch something else? Or do I just have to make my one thing better? Welcome to the Success School podcast. We're on episode 101. So we're into the next set of 100. So it'd be funny to go back and listen to episode 1 and how bad that was compared to 101. Yeah, it was just me. I was probably talking about offer or something. Like, it'd be funny.
Yeah, I think we were actually doing it. We had this like really structured curriculum. Yeah. Do you remember? You were like, I'm going to go through the Success School curriculum.
Yeah, like step by step.
Funny.
Steph, how you feeling?
Yeah, lit up, excited, love these conversations.
Yeah, so we're on a 3-episode series celebrating our 100th episode. Today we are going to still keep it real. We're talking about biggest fails and what we learned from them, so you guys obviously can learn from them. But the thing with fails and fucking shit up in business and getting it wrong is you kind of need to go through it yourself. Like, we can talk about it and then you'll be like, all right, Tim and Steph spoke about that on the podcast, and then it actually happens to you and then you learn from it. But it's a fun one. Do you want to give us your personal update?
Not a super like happy one, but
they've been getting sadder.
No, they're not getting sadder. I think last time I spoke about blue blocks or something. So something I've come to terms with recently is that the bigger your business gets, the more discomfort you experience. And we actually spoke about this on the last episode as well. And I thought that it was relevant to bring up as my personal update. I've stepped into a new role. And at first I thought, whatever, I think it'd
be easy.
It'd be easy. I feel like it was one of those situations, it's a Dunning-Kruger situation. You go and you're like, I'll be awesome at this, whatever, no worries. And then you learn a heap of shit and you realize you know absolutely nothing about this role. And then now you're managing a team and you're supposed to lead this team of people and you know nothing about the thing. And you're on a rapid upskilling journey and everything feels really uncomfortable because you're learning rapidly, you're making heaps of mistakes, you're ultimately letting people down, and it's a lot of pressure. And I've been there for a little while now, a couple of weeks of just feeling this like real discomfort because I'm really stretching myself and I'm at the edge of my comfort zone. I am learning a lot very rapidly. I am having to be okay with being very bad at things, with not knowing the answers, with things going wrong and little fires popping up around while I optimize the processes. And there have been a couple of times now where I've thought to Tim, like, I just want to outsource it. I don't want to do this. I've gotten a tears in an afternoon where I've, I've had this kind of mantra in my head repeating going like, oh, like just run away. Like you don't even want this business, right? Like the thoughts become very, very loud when you're experiencing discomfort. But it's just part of the job. It's
where a lot of people go wrong, though. They outsource stuff they don't understand.
Yes.
And Steph's like, oh, let's outsource. I'm like, no, we don't get it. So we can't outsource it. Therefore, we're always going to get wrecked because we don't understand the process of it, which is super important to outsource the process. It's like people outsource Facebook ads and they don't understand Facebook ads. And then they get pissed off when an agency rips them off for 6 months, like, because you just don't get it.
Yeah.
So my personal update, bit lighter, bit bigger, bit more uplifting.
Oh, you are so amazing.
Speaking of uplifting, I was really concerned about the suspension on our Ram 2500.
Were you really concerned?
Yeah, I'm really concerned about it. So we're going on a big caravan trip, and obviously like there's like legal towing limits with suspension upgrades, and I didn't want to be illegal, and then I didn't want to put you guys at risk. So I had to get a lift on the Ram 2500. Yeah. So I got a big lift on it, and now the Ram looks even cooler and even bigger. It looks amazing. Such a cool looking car.
Very legal.
Very legal, but it looks amazing, and I'm stoked. And I thought this might be the Lambo year. This might not be the Lambo year, but I can just make these small investments in our safety, obviously with, the higher towing capacity.
If you guys are not picking this up, Tim doesn't give a shit about the towing capacity and only wanted the lift because he likes being extra tall in his vehicle. Can we get into it? I haven't actually tried getting in since we've had the lift.
Yeah, it's a bit harder to get in. I've obviously got small man-itis where I need to have big everything because I'm, overcompensating for something, which is funny. I haven't heard that before.
Went to the gym this morning and he was like, I've got to move your car out of the way because I want to take the Ram because it's lifted.
I mean, nothing wrong with that.
I'm going to get your lift in. Okay, so
a big jacked American truck.
Got your big jacked American truck with your big guns at the big gym. Okay, so today we are unpacking our 5 biggest business fails. These ones have cost us time, money, and momentum. Plenty of money.
So many tears.
More time as well.
How many times we cried about these?
Dude, so many tears. But more importantly, we're going to give you some tips on how to avoid them and, but again, you won't. So,
just listen to it.
Listen to it, see what you take. Maybe you've experienced it.
Be like, they're a bit dumb.
Yeah.
Like they did that.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. We think it's not that big a deal until it happens to you. And then you're like, oh, damn, this is big. All right. So before we dive in, guys, if you haven't hit subscribe, just do me a favor right now. Pause the podcast, go and hit subscribe.
Share the show. Don't be a hoe.
Yeah. Now, let's dive in. The 5 biggest fails. What do they need to know about those before we dive in?
Your best business lessons come from your mistakes. Success hides the cracks. Failures show up where you need to fix things. Nothing is ever wasted if you learn and apply. You're not behind. We've all stuffed it up, and you can recover more quickly than you think. I think you need to reframe it, and you've probably heard this 100 times, but failure isn't failure. Failure is feedback, and it's an opportunity to get better. And I know a lot of people get really upset when things don't go well. They like it, us included. But if you just frame it as you're learning, you're growing, you're getting better, it just makes it far more bearable. You will fuck up in business, and we're going to share our 5 biggest fuck ups from the last couple of years. Fail number 1 was scaling too fast without one solid offer. And we made the mistake that, we thought we were having a revenue dip or a revenue problem. And what you do in that situation, obviously, every business coach has ever given you this advice, is you make a new offer and you launch a new thing to your audience. But what if you just need to fix and make the one offer better, so the one offer, people talk about it, refer it, and you actually grow the one offer that you have rather than launching a new offer. So we've launched, 3 things now in the last 18 months. Yeah. 3 things, seriously. Probably could have just not launched the first one, or it did
4
make
things.
4 things.
Yep.
5 actually.
Yeah.
5 things. Yeah.
This coming from the people who on their podcast over the last 18 months have said do one thing.
Do one thing.
Yeah.
And probably simple solution to all of this was just make the one thing better. And actually the 5th thing we did was make the one thing better, which we just have recently done.
Yeah.
We've improved Success School, the mastermind. We've relaunched the modules for the 4th time, added in a 12-week on-ramp one-to-one, KPI tracking, coaching, accountability, all the stuff,
accountability,
more touch points, all the stuff. We've finally fixed the offer 2 years later. And we've just been launching these mini offers to try to band-aid the solution. The cool thing is, I think Accelerator has been amazing. The other 3, shit. But, it's been a cool lesson for us. And I would just want you guys to reflect and stand back and think do I need to launch something else, or do I just have to make my one thing better?
Yep. I think it can feel really hard. It's this weird sunk cost bias thing where sunk cost bias can come up in 2 different ways. It can come up in the first way, which is you put so much work into it, so you're not going to let it go.
Yeah. Or
it can come up I put so much work into this that I just don't even know what I would do to fix it. So I don't know how to fix it. So I'm actually just going to let it go. And I'm going to do something new and shiny instead, because this feels really fun over here. And I think that we were definitely in the second one of it's pretty good. 80% done is good enough. And Successful, the mastermind has been phenomenal. Don't get me wrong. It just hasn't been to the standard that we would need, that we wanted it to be. And instead of fixing it, we thought that we could just launch new stuff. And I think we're guilty of being like any other entrepreneur with shiny object syndrome, and other people are doing this stuff and blah, 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 and whatever. And
we ain't perfect.
Yeah, we ain't perfect. What I will also say is that it's very different from 0 to $1 million than it is from where we're scaling. We scale from 1 to 3. And I think that from 0 to 1, you really need one offer, one core offer. There are some exceptions to the rule, but for the most part, guys, if you're scaling from 0 to $1 million, you need one core offer, right? And maybe a way of retaining them. But from 1 million to 3 million, and probably from 3 to 10, I imagine, it's a case of really either optimizing those offers to make them even more of a heck yes for people. The way that we've been optimizing Success School is we are going way harder on trying to get our clients results. So we've added in everything from SOPs for their team to carry out. We've simplified modules. We've simplified trainings. We've added in AI bots. We've added in monthly release workshops where we're telling you exactly plug and play templates on how to do exactly what we do every single month. We've added in extra retreats. We've added in one-to-one onboardings and trainings for a 12-week period to make sure. We've added in accountability. We've just gone, okay, what are all the problems our clients come to us and they have when they're in the program for 6 months? And how can we fix all of these problems to make sure that they get a result regardless of if it's in the first 12 weeks or in the first 6 months or in the first 9 months? And how can we help them to reach activation points that keep them growing and seeing the value of working with us? And if they're growing and seeing the value of working with us, they're going to rave about us online. They're going to refer their friends. We've had 4 referrals in the last 4 weeks.
At a highest re-sign rate.
Highest re-sign rate of all time. Yeah, we're retaining more than 60% of clients at the moment. It's wild. And those things happen because we worked on optimizing the offer and rather than just tacking on new things.
And why we did this is the invisible hand. And We'll talk about this as I heard Hormozy talk about it initially, but you can spend more on marketing, you can spend more on ads, you can make more content, you can send more emails, you can do the things. But if your product or your program or whatever it is or your service has a bad rep, you're eventually not going to be able to outrun all the negative press about what you do. Not that we have an invisible hand, we just never want an invisible hand about Success School. So we were like, cool, how do we just make sure people have a fucking epic experience with us, every single person? So let's just get that done so that just never happens to us. And a lot of the times, a lot of people do have invisible hands floating around, and there's a lot of hearsay about people, coaches, services out there. And you need to be aware of it, guys. Like, these things can happen. You wouldn't even know it's happening. Imagine like someone is reaching out to their friend and they're asking about your service, and then the friend is like, yeah, it's pretty shit, don't do it. You wouldn't even know they had that conversation, and you wouldn't even know that prospect was available to be a prospect of yours. You've just missed out on it because your service isn't where it needs to be.
So point one is create an offer, make it amazing, and don't launch another offer until your first one is absolutely incredible.
Yeah.
Perfect. Fail number 2, no team, no bench. Oh, every time. I feel like
Still learning this one.
Still learning this one. This has been an ongoing lesson for us. And I think it happens to everybody. You know, I had a team member go on maternity leave. We knew for 6 months and did nothing until the month before. Like, why would you do that?
Yeah.
There have been times like that. We've made those sorts of mistakes, guys. Like, if you can feel that someone's going to leave, you can feel it. You can feel when somebody's tapping out. You can feel when somebody's no longer interested kind of in being in the business. You can kind of see when a team member is starting to tap out, right? They've changed their energy. They're starting to be more preoccupied over here. You need to build your bench. And when we're talking about building your bench, we're talking about, I think, sport. No, we're talking about sport. Like, you have your players on the field and then you've got your bench, because if one of your players gets injured or goes down or chucks a tanty or gets a red card, they're going to come off the field and you need to replace them immediately, because you can't be a man down, right? Your business is exactly the same. So you need to build your bench. You need to have players waiting in the wings. You need to have, for most businesses, and especially in the coaching space, if you are having sales team or, client success managers or wherever, you're going to need a page on your website where people can pretty much always apply, or you're going to have ads running pretty regularly. You're going to want to have a system in place for onboarding to make sure that if you do have a high turnover role, and there are just some industries with high turnover roles, guys, like if you're in the beauty industry, that means that you are in the maternity leave industry. Okay. And so what that means is that you're going to constantly need people. So you need to have really good recruitment and onboarding processes, because you're going to have high turnover. And that's not because you're a bad boss. It's because women get pregnant and they go on leave. And if you're in a heavily female-based industry, that's going to happen a lot.
Yeah, I was at the hairdresser the other day, not our normal one, but the other one. And she was like super frazzled. And I asked her, I was like, what's up? And she was like, oh, I'm manager today because our manager called in sick. Two other girls were off sick, and then 2 girls were on maternity leave. And I was like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Like 5 of their team members were off on a single day.
Yeah.
And I was like, how often does that happen? She said, every day there's 2 people off sick. And I was just thinking, you're going to have like 20% more team members just to have like a functioning business there.
Yeah.
That's crazy. But they obviously don't have a bench, and they need a bench, and the business can't afford a bench. But yeah, it was like super stressful. I couldn't even imagine that.
Talk about the bench.
I'll give a soccer analogy here. It's like if you watch like competitive soccer or football around the world, the seasons are getting longer and longer and longer and longer. So there's more games. They're more competitive games. Sometimes they're playing 3 times a week with Champions League and their league and whatever it is. And what happens with more games is more people get injured. And when more people get injured, the stars go down, and then the bench kind of like come into play. The real winners of most leagues or seasons is it's not like the best starting 11 of any soccer team. It's the bench, because the bench finish the season and the first 11 start the season. So you need to have a good first 11, and you also need to have a good bench, because they're the ones that are going to finish the season, okay, until the bench get recuperated again. So if you think about like you're a professional soccer team, like what does your bench look like? And if your best 3 go down, who's going to replace them? You don't have to have like a bench ready to go, contract signed, whatever it is, but you have to have an idea on who is going to replace them, or have a way to fill your bench.
Yeah, I think that's the second point, guys. You may not need to have this person, like we always have our feelers out. And I'll give you a couple of examples. Sales team, high turnover teams, high turnover mostly because I have really high standards and we're looking for the right people, right? And salespeople are really good at selling themselves. And so it can be a bit smoke and mirrors. It's a bit of a cat and mouse situation with salespeople. And so what happens is that we are now starting to get our hands into a lot of different networks where salespeople hang out. And because of that, we're meeting lots of different people. These people have connections from deals they used to close with. And so it's getting easier and easier to recruit these roles for ourselves, right? But when we first started, we didn't know anybody. So, we just put an ad up on Seek and people applied and
get some shit.
Yeah, you get some stuff and you hope that someone who, sold telephones at Vodafone is enough to sell your stuff, right? So part of the game is like over time, you just start to get into more networks if you can feel it's a high turnover role. But there are other roles like Tim, we have a couple of client success managers in our business. If we were to have a couple of good sales months, we know that a new client success manager is going to be something that is on the horizon for us to hire. So what we are doing right now is we're just keeping ear to ground. If someone pops up, even in another role that we're hiring for, or we suddenly get gifted, or we hear about somebody who was in their business but it's just quit or is shutting down or is maybe looking for a different like type of work, we would be on that like white on rice. Like it would be so fast because we know that in the near future, there is a role coming up in our company and that we are going to be recruiting for this thing. So don't wait until you need to recruit for it. Start kind of feeling it out beforehand, because there are a lot of people who are in your world right now who are actually probably perfect for the role you're recruiting for.
There's nothing wrong with throwing out a cheeky message of being like, hey, would you ever like to work together? You know, to some people you know. It's a good strategy. We've used it just recently.
Yes.
And it's created some interested parties.
Yeah.
All right.
Absolutely.
Fail number 3 is no time off, no enjoyment. So I probably had this, come to me 3 months ago where I was just like, I'm in the fucking grind hole at the moment with business. Like I'm doing like 12-hour days, 7 days a week, just getting it done. I don't complain because mama didn't raise no bitch. But like I had the thought, I was like, man, am I actually doing anything with my life here? Like yes, I go on cool holidays and you guys see on the gram, it looks fucking epic and whatever. But I was like, man, is this it? Like, is this just what the rest of my life is going to be? Just in the fucking Hormozy regen, like just working hard, just grinding it out. And I was like, this can't be it. So for me, I like set off like 1, 2 o'clock every day. I switch off now, enjoy my afternoons. We aim to travel every 6 weeks. I know that sounds great. I'm sitting on my high horse over here saying do that. But business has to be about enjoyment as well, not just like getting away and enjoying it, but also in the process of it. And I see it less about getting as much done as fast as possible now in business. And I'm more like, I just have my time every day, have a good go of it. I try to enjoy the process. I try to enjoy every minute of it rather than just seeing it as if I'm like tick and flick, complete as many tasks as possible, grind till
Well, something that I've noticed about you, if I can reflect, is that you used to wake up on a Monday morning and write down, well, you'd do it on Sunday, but you'd write down all of your tasks for the week. And then Monday, you basically just be like from 7 a.m. till like 7 p.m. You'd be like, I'm going to get my entire task list done for the entire fucking week on Monday. And then you would like
dunk on every motherfucker and be like, I'm the best.
Yeah. And then you'd like come out for dinner and be like, well, guess what? My entire to-do list is done. But then you proceed to work the entire fucking week anyway. So like it didn't make a difference whether his to-do list was done. That was like just a sense of achievement thing, right? And so now the sense of achievement is it's knowing that the work is never done, and that if you just switch off at we try to switch off by 2 or 3 p.m. at the very latest. Spend time with our dogs. You love to get active in the front lawn and mow and your mental health lawnmower, and go out there and do your gardening stuff or whatever. And it's nice to just like go and be a human and remember that you're not just some big business person that businesses all day and just it's you have to switch off, guys. Like there has to be balance. Okay, number 4 is we built it the way everyone else built it, and we've done this so many times. I think sometimes when it gets hard, you look for easy. So when it gets hard, you start to look for who's doing it better than we're doing it that seems to have it done easier. But the problem with easy is that it's very sexy and very easy to sell, right? Everyone wants easy. So we've copied quite a few models, or considered, or at least paid for programs where we've really heavily considered building out new models. And part of the reason why we jumped around offers is because we got enticed by these no sales calls, no team models when we were in the middle of building a team and we felt like it was hard.
Yeah.
And it doesn't work for where we're going. Like we don't actually want no team. And that's the reality, because we believe that team equals freedom. And we don't want to have to work every single day for the rest of our lives in the business, because that doesn't align with the values that we're trying to build. But we also don't want a massive team where we're making $3 million.
We don't know them.
We don't know them. We don't have connection with them, where we don't want middle management like that. Like that's not something that's going to happen in our company. And that's what a lot of people teach. Like a lot of people now would be like, you guys need an operation manager. You guys need a sales manager. You guys need but that's not the business we're building. And so it's just so important that you build it the way you want to build it, because it's enticing. Like we could build it like Jay Wright, and we could have this huge, team, right? And we could build it like Maria went, and we could have this low ticket passive income course, and we could build it like everybody, like the guy that sells on Docs. We could build it like so many different people, but none of those actually align with where we're going. One of our clients, Cass, is really good at this. Like, she is probably one of the most lived values business owner I've met. She wants to build $1 million business. She's in no rush to build one, and she will not sacrifice her lifestyle freedom to get there. So she will not work more than 25 hours a week. She will not miss a European summer. She will not travel. And she makes sure that those things stay priority over the income. And the income will come and it has, and it's consistently growing year on year over the last few years because she's building it her way. And I think it's just really important that you build it with your values in mind.
And fail number 5 is not being open to try new things. So, at many stages in our entrepreneurial career, and this would be funny because I am like, call the fucking leads guy, but we have been not open to calling the leads.
Yeah.
We didn't call the leads.
We didn't call them.
And believe it or not, Steph was anti-Facebook ads for a while. She was like, I just need Instagram organic. Instagram organic is the way. And then there were times where we didn't track our KPIs and we were the annoying clients that weren't doing their KPIs. Mm-hmm. And we just weren't open to trying things and the advice from people that gave us advice, and it was very good advice. And they said, call the fucking leads, do the KPIs, track things, do the things. And we just wouldn't do it because we were closed off to the idea. We said, we don't need that. It doesn't work. And honestly, those 3 things are probably the best 3 things we've ever done in business. Mm-hmm. Track our KPIs, do ads, and call the leads. They're like, if I were to sum up 3 things, and maybe send emails, but
yeah.
Yeah.
And it's wild because they're things that we rejected doing. The other one that I rejected doing was like, I didn't want to hire someone to do sales calls because I was the best. And why would anyone buy a program not from the person on the call? Like, all this bullshit. Like, I'm the worst at sales. I should not be taking sales calls. When I get on sales calls, I'm like, I just end up giving advice because I'm a coach and that's what I'm good at and that's what I'm supposed to do, right? I didn't want to hire support coaches in any of the programs because I thought like,
I'm going to rip you off.
Yeah, they're going to rip me off. They're going to steal clients. And I want it to be me that my clients get results from. Like, guys, there's so many things that you will get advice to do that you will be blocked on doing. But our advice is just to bloody try it. Like, you will never know if it's going to work for you if you don't just put 5 seconds of bravery in front of you and just try the damn thing.
All right, guys, just to summarize the fails. So don't scale too fast without a solid offer. Number 2 is build a team and have a bench. Number 3 is take time off and actually enjoy the process of what you do. Number 4 is don't build a business the way everyone else has, build it your way. And number 5 is be open to trying new things. We're going to get into our listener question today. And this one is from Amanda. When did you know it was time to hire someone full-time?
I don't know if we've ever hired someone full-time.
Yeah. That's not how we roll. Yeah.
Interesting thing.
Yeah.
We don't hire the way that most people hire, by the way, guys. One thing that I think is super interesting about the way that we run teams is that we hire not based on hours, but based on outcomes. And I think that everyone should hire this way. I'm obviously biased, but we believe in lifestyle freedom. We want our teams to have lifestyle freedom too. We don't care how many hours it takes you to get the result. We are non-administrative. We don't want to track your hours. We don't want to look at your invoices. Like, we just want to know that the result was hit. So if the result's being hit, there's no reason for us to check in. If the result's not being hit, then we'll check in. And so we don't hire full-time. We hire based on outcomes. So you have to get X outcome, take as long as you take, but get the outcome done. But the easy answer to this, in my opinion, is when you start dropping the balls.
Yeah. Yeah, my answer would be when you have the financial means too. So I always think you should be paying yourself a wage, some kind of wage. It doesn't have to be a lot. And then with the leftover money, I would look to reinvest that in the business. Most of the time, everyone's first hire should be a full-time virtual assistant. Second from that, someone to help with delivery. Third from that, someone to help with sales. Fourth from that, marketing help. And then fifth is someone to help with leadership stuff. So that would be my kind of like hiring matrix or order that I would do. But honestly, it's when you can afford it. You need to get really good with cash flow, managing money, knowing your numbers, that kind of stuff. Everyone should be trying. I know like more fucking KPIs, but like how much money you're making, how much profit, how much room you have to grow, when your bills are hitting every month, like that kind of stuff really does help out tremendously. So we're in the process of making a new hire in our company. And obviously, like, we track our cash flow every week. I know exactly to the cent how much money we make every week. I get it in my inbox on a Monday, and that's in terms of profit. So I can plan our next hire. I know who our next hire is. I know how much we have to spend. So I think like getting really clear on knowing your numbers, speak to your accountant, pay yourself first, guys. And then obviously with whatever left over, look to invest if you can afford to.
Every hire that you make should either make you money or free your time up so that you can make money. That's the golden rule. This is where middle management is like the worst. It's like the worst kind of hires. And you shouldn't be hiring middle management until you're way, have heaps of profit in the company, because you should either hire a virtual assistant to save you heaps of time so that you can go out and do more sales and marketing activities so that you can have more clients, right? That's the way. And then you hire someone for delivery, like you said, because you have lots of clients and now you need to deliver. That's how it works, okay? But so many people end up hiring people like for just, I don't know, like nonsense, things that just don't like move the needle, you know? They think like, oh, it would just be really nice to have some help with this. You know, I'm going to get a marketing person on. And it's like, yeah, but unless that marketing person is driven towards an outcome and you have that outcome directly, marketing means nothing if it doesn't make you sales, right? So if you're going to hire a marketing person, there actually needs to be a sales goal attributed to it. So they need to not only make back their own wage in the role, but they also have to make back the super, the BAS, the GST, the payroll tax, all the other things, right? So when you're hiring, the best things that we always love to do when we're looking at hiring is to ask ourselves the question, what kind of ROI are we going to have on this? Like the cost benefit analysis of the role, how much is it going to make us versus how much is it going to cost us? And is that worth having in the company, or are we just scaling for scaling's sake?
All right, guys, that was a great episode. So episode 101, if that was better than episode 1, let us know. If you're here for the first time, don't go back and listen to episode 1. It was probably fucking awful. Yeah. I think they get okay after episode 20 and probably after episode 50. Yeah. Just a bit before Steph. But if you got some value, guys, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. Obviously, tell your friends. We love as many earballs as possible. And we'll see you next week.
See you next week.